Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. We welcome all of you watching and listening, and we thank you for having TCC be your source for all DFO news and talk. I am your host, Mark, and I am joined by my co-host, the indescribable, ineffable, infallible, and slightly intoxicated Mino Spellgood. How are you doing, Mino?
Thanks, Mark. As I said before, I got home early and there was a mix-up, so I started drinking earlier than normal, and it's going to be horrible because I'm expecting this episode to go even longer, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be unintelligible by the end.
Well, we're just going to have to wait and see, and all of you listen and play along. We're also joined by not our good friend and yours, Kriese, aka Zerink. We let him have a week off for vacation, or just vacation from the podcast. But we are joined by our wonderful friend, the king of the troop, Mr. Tonberry himself, Inkwelder. How are you doing, fine sir?
I am doing well, Mark. Just enjoying the evening and ready for probably the busiest show you've ever done.
Oh, first anniversary was pretty backed. I'm gonna have to tell you, going back listening, the Zaz episode, it's pretty packed. But this is a remarkably packed week in the life of Defo. But we'll talk about that in a second. A few housekeeping things. Welcome all of you joining us on Twitch. We did get some new emotes for all of you who are Twitch subs and Twitch Prime subs. Thank you for all who are subbing. Please give us a sub if you're a member of Amazon Prime. You do get to do a Twitch Prime sub for free on Twitch. Feel free. We record every Thursday night live on Twitch, 8 p.m. Central, or Friday, 1 a.m. UTC. You can join us, of course, later on Twitch, YouTube. All of you listening via the podcast, thank you. All of our information's at tccpodcast.com, and you can listen to all 72 of our shows. This is episode 72, recorded on this October 10th, 2019. So the news of the day. First of all, Facebook discontinuation of in-game services. So you have to back up your data if you're on. Is this just for iPhone, or is this across platforms?
Across platforms, and we dug up a lot of news on that one. But go ahead and give the summary first.
Yeah, so you've had two options depending on your mobile device to back up your data. For Apple users, it's been Game Center, which is the Apple system, or it's been Facebook. You could do both if you would like to. You are no longer able to back up your game via Facebook. So make sure if you had your game backed up via Facebook, you go back it up using Game Center or using what the other options are so that your game is backed up. And especially before you transfer, that's the number one way to do that. So you had something else to add to that, Mino?
Yeah, so the big concern here was the cross-platform transfer a lot of people were having about switching from emulators to the iPhone or just switching from phone to phone. And there was a lot of concern because Facebook was the only one they shared in common. And so apparently, myself included, there were a lot of streamers and such who weren't sure what they were going to do once this happened. So apparently, I talked to Square Enix Joshua, and he said that this has actually been stated in two separate in-game notices. It shows how much we read these things. Sorry, but they said they're going to be working on an alternate solution once Facebook fades. It's not going to be implemented right away, but he has two recommendations. First is he says for everyone who jumps platforms often, just sync your game to the Game Center and the Google account. And then all you have to do is log into one of those accounts whenever you turn on the device, and it will sync. So right now, before Facebook closes, sync both of the devices with emulators, tablets, iPhone, whatever. And then once it's synced once, it will always pull up. And then they said there's going to be a period in between where there's no Facebook switching, and there's going to be a gap until their alternative comes. They said if new players come and don't have a chance to do this sync yet, just contact support and then they will hook it up. It'll take a little while, but then once you do that, you can sync it up to Google and Game Center, and it should work the same as well. So for streamers and people who hop often, right now, just make sure you're synced to both Google and Game Center, and you should be fine.
That sounds good. Thank you for that evaluation, and thank you, Square Enix Joshua, for helping us out with that. So we also have a Portal app campaign ongoing, so make sure that you are downloaded your Portal app, your Final Fantasy Portal app specifically. Go on, you can just check the news, grab points. We've crossed 80,000 points, but we are way behind in meeting the 1.1 million mark. So we have 10 draw tickets left to go, 10 armor tokens, and 3 weapon tokens. So please, if you can, if you already have the app, fine. Get on there every day just for a second. Check the news, get your points, go on, or enjoy Triple Triad and other things that you can do to get points on that app.
What's the deadline for that again, Mark?
I have no idea.
It's just
It's
the
the end of October. It's all the end of October. Yep, October 30th.
Okay,
October
so we have plenty
31st. Yep.
Apparently, a lot of our regulars are getting really into Triple Triad. Almost tempting.
We're gonna have to get a Triple Triad channel on Discord.
If they ever open up like co-op or face-to-face, I think it would be really fun. But I think that mode doesn't work at the moment.
No, right?
Which is unfortunate.
It is not.
But
yeah,
I've played it randomly, and it's definitely I enjoy it. Which you get points. You get points for playing Triple Triad once a day. You get points for watching videos, for clicking the topics, for like clicking the news. So if you are mindlessly doing anything, you could totally do that in the background and stock up a lot of points that way, because you can go back like a month if you had time on your hands.
There you go. Well, good luck to all of you, and all of you who are doing that. Thank you for your support of our community, and for the free things we've already gotten, and for hopefully the free things we will yet to get. So let's start with the big news of the day, and that is the events and various things that have happened. But before everything launched on the 10th or the 9th here in the United States last night, we had an event. Elfin Odd, the character, Alice's twin brother from Final Fantasy 14. I was going to say, I don't have any idea what class he is. What class is he? He's like a summoner, isn't he? Some type of summoning kind of
Scholar.
class? Scholar?
He's an arcanist.
I don't know. Arcanist? I don't know. Whatever. He's a guy with the book.
Oh wait, shit! You're right. He's an arcanist. You're right, and he calls himself.
No idea.
I just skip all the cutscenes since F14. I don't care. I think he calls himself. He has a special class called academician or something. Some fancy word for scholar, because he's not quite a whatever.
Well, that sounds ridiculous. So, Alphinaud. Alphinaud is a new character. He comes to us with a 15 and 35 CP, but no EX. The EX on that banner was Yda EX, of course. And so what does Alphinaud do? He's a very interesting character that I'm going to talk about here today. That's not quite the best character that we've seen, and not quite the best character we're going to see even among the 1535 CP. But his basic mechanic is Alphinaud starts with Moonstone, who is his carbuncle little creature. I always think if you listen to the in-game, I think the thing's name is Zeus, because he always says, "Hey, Zeus," when it attacks.
Zeus.
They refer to it as Moonstone, right? That's the actual thing? Yeah.
Right.
So correct me if I'm wrong on that. So he starts with this summon, and he has it, if you have his 2 weapons and all of his extensions and everything else, he starts with Moonstone. He has that for 5-6 turns, and that gives him special attacks, a special brave attack, a special HP attack. Also gives him some buffs. Now, that's just basically a magic attack. And he can do that as his HP attack. It's called Moonstone Strike or something ridiculous. And you just do that over and over again, and it's just a decent magic attack. Now, you can summon Moonstone if you're broken, because if you're broken, you lose it, or if the counter draws down, just like any other power. And that's a free action. The summon, his first ability, Summon Moonstone, it's a free action. He only has a few uses of it, so you don't want him to get broken. So he's, you know, good partner with Warrior of Light or other tanks. But that keeps it active. It's a free action, and then basically you're just spamming this HP attack unless you need Brave, so you can Brave his Sick or his Brave Plus, or he has an ability called Drain, which is basically a magic attack that heals the party. Now, Alphinaud does have party buffs, attack and max Brave aura, that you can get with his artifact passives as well. So he's kind of a aura bot, he's kind of a healer, and he's kind of magic DPS. And that's kind of all he does. There's really not a lot else to his kit. Now, he will get an EX and an EX Plus, and that changes things a little bit. I have him. I have the full banner. Just kind of how it happened. So I got the full banner, and I like him. I think he's fun to play with. I like, of course, the Moonstone, the carbuncle little thing running around. I think that's cute. He stays with you by your side. He's doing okay damage. He's doing okay buffs. He does pair well with Warrior of Light, but he's not an overwhelming character. Unfortunately, Alphinaud is going to come out, and she's going to be probably a stronger support with a 15 and 35. You're getting Charlotta, who's a much stronger support with her EX. You also have characters like Sarah and Aerith, who might be, you know, combating for that prize, not to mention characters like Ace, who are crazy magic DPS. So that's my impression of Alphinaud. I like the character. I'm glad I have him. You know, I kind of like the character Alizé and Alphinaud. I kind of like their characters from what I know of them from Final Fantasy XIV. I used him a lot in FFRK, so I'm glad I have him. But, you know, I'm not sure that I would suggest anyone go out of their way to get it. Yep, as Slide is saying in chat, he's a solid character for a 1535. I'm sure I'm going to make good use of him as a support and magic DPS for beta, Abyss, or regular Abyss, or anything else. You guys have anything to add about Alphinaud?
I'd just say that from what I saw, from just watching random videos, I know that he certainly can do Cosmos. You generally want to run him with a bunch of people that buff his Eyebrave. Like, I watched someone do one of the Heretic Cosmos that comes out later still, like paired with a Chaos or something like that. And they were running them with Barts and other people. So
I did complete this
options.
Cosmos with him and Yda, so I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, but even if he's not boosted, if you run him with like Warrior of Light, Selfie, Barts, there's definitely some good teams you can overlap him with to abuse his Eyebrave region.
Yeah. So, any thoughts about Alphinaud?
Good thing about having all these co-hosts is I don't have to look into every character anymore. I don't care for him at all. I'm sure he's interesting, he's passable, but like these last three characters we're getting before the EX Plus era are just, as you said, support characters meant to be filler characters. And I mean, just like Frey and Fran, right? You just fill gaps in your roster. I've got really nothing to say. I really highly doubt many people are going to use him or Alphinaud coming up. Well, maybe Alphinaud. There's a lot of hype.
Yeah, Alphinaud.
There's a lot of hype for Alphinaud that we'll talk about in her episode, but Alphinaud does not get that hype, so we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yda. Is it Yda? I thought it was Yda. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Yda here in a second because she gets an EX and it changed. She got a rework and it changes her kit. Now, I want to go back in time. I've listened to some old episodes recently, and in the first month or two of the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, Yda was one of my go-to characters. She had an HP, Brave plus HP attack, very, very useful early in the game. So I mained Yda early on. or Yda or Yda. Somebody tell me what's the actual pronunciation of
It's
the
Yda.
character?
It's Yda.
Yda, like E, where there's no
Yeah.
no Y. Yda. Okay, I did not play Final Fantasy 14, so you're gonna have to excuse me. Yda. I'll try better with that one. Don't even get me started on Y'shtola. I just renamed characters like that. So Yda. So Yda's got a special place in my heart in this game because she got me through a lot of early content with her very powerful Brave plus HP attack. So I did the 13 ticket challenge and I got her EX. I went back and did more tickets, about 50 tickets to get Elfin Odd's kit as well. So I got everything on the banner. Yda's EX, which is Tornado Kick, and it's just a basically more powerful attack, but I'll talk about it here in a second. But it changes her kit, so now she plays, apparently, again, I didn't play Final Fantasy 14, but talking with Mino and some others, she plays much more like a Final Fantasy 14 or an MMO monk. So for Yda, she doesn't start with a Brave or an HP plus. So you have to start with Snap Punch. And that, you don't have to start with Snap Punch, but if you start with Snap Punch, that gives her buffs. And once you set buffs, then she gets her Brave or HP. So somebody else can give her buffs, and she automatically gets her Brave plus and HP plus. But if you're not depending on other people's buffs, you use Snap Punch, activate your buffs. Now you have Brave and HP attack. Well, you'll see a little thing above her. It's like a little lightning bolt with a 0 in it, and that's Greased Lightning. That's her special kind of new mechanic. So once you do Snap Punch, you activate HP plus or buff. You activate HP plus. You activate HP plus. That turns Snap Punch into Snap Punch Punch. Snap Punch plus. Then you do Snap Punch plus, and that gives you a 1 in Grease Lightning or a charge of Grease Lightning, and that changes your EX Tornado Kick to Tornado Kick plus. So there's kind of like a system now. Like, I mean, it feels MMO-y, right? You do Snap Punch, HP plus, Snap Punch plus, Tornado Kick plus. And so she has this little kind of system that I think is really cool, and I think it plays really fun. And every once in a while, you use her Touch of Death, which is her other attack, and gives, that's still good because it gives poison and sap. So you can kind of throw in that as you need. But it's really, I mean, she's really good. The one thing I will say about her EX is it's only a 4-hit. It's a 4-hit Brave plus HP and then an additional Brave plus HP. So at most with the overflow, it's got massive damage. So it does tons of damage. The potency's huge. And it has massive overflow, 200% overflow. But it's only 4 hits. So you're capping at less than 40,000 for the first hit and 10,000 for the second hit. So it's only doing 50,000. Yeah, you can get to 99.99 if you're already at 40 or so thousand, which is nice. So you're not oozing out Brave, especially in a summon. But it is capped with that. So I would be excited to see what happens. Of course, she's going to get her EX plus, and I've heard that's pretty good. And maybe she'll get a weapon that will allow her to break past that damage cap because her potencies are so good. So I would be willing to see that. So I really like her. She's not going to get into chaos. I don't think there's any Ydas, excuse me, in, you know who I'm talking about. It's not even really her, right? Spoilers.
Wow.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Well, that's going to come in a couple chapters. We'll see. But yeah, so Jake is saying same with Kistis, high overflow but low hit count. So yeah, I don't know anything about that Aminosis. So the only people who know what I'm talking about are the people that know what happens in that game. If you don't, you'll have to find out for the default version of it. So did you guys have anything to say about Yda? I think she's fun. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I think she's cool. You first, Ink? I think I got like quite a bit to say, so I'll go last.
Oh no, I'll defer on this one because Mark covered most of the notes that I would have said on Yda. So go for it.
Yeah, Mark usually, as always, thorough on the kit. I just wanted to say that as someone who's regrettably played FF14, I do appreciate that they're moving these characters closer to their source game. And like Mark says in the original, the one thing Mark left out that I want to touch up on is in the original game, monks would do a 3-hit combo and build a stack of Grease Lightning. There's only one stack in DFFOO right now, I believe, right? Like you can only get the one stack, whereas in FF14 it goes up to 4. But the point is you build it up, and then that makes them stronger over time. So what Grease Lightning does here is give her the strong Brave plus HP plus for longevity, basically, right? If you want to hold on to it. Or just like in that game, you use Tornado Kick to just dump it all to do one big burst hit. So I do like that she has a longevity option. I do like it's true to the game, and I do like that she has the option to dump it as well. As people are saying in chat, it's like she has a rotation similar to Alize, but it's nowhere near as strict because you can hold on to the buff and use it over either a long period or use it for short-term burst. So it is more flexible. I know some people have complained about having to do the 3 hits in order for optimal DPS is what they're saying. But I think it's a fun concept. But as a lot of people have been saying as well, big overflow with a few hits is going to hurt her coming up really soon.
Yeah, right now, I mean, she's hitting that damage cap, and she probably will for a while. But again, if she was doing 8 hits, she'd probably be doing, still probably be doing the same amount, even if they lowered her potency, because her potency is so high. But yeah, the 4 hits does hurt. But like I said, I'm enjoying the character. I think I didn't have any fist using characters, so I was thinking about weapon tokening Alphinaud anyway later on. So this does give me a decent fist character to use and have in my inventory. So I do, for that purpose, she's good. Again, I spent 13 tickets. I'm not saying pity Yda. I'm just saying I'm not regretting having her and limit breaking her and using the resources to do that. So let's go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And just to add on to what you just said, Mark, is what I do actually now just realize and appreciate for Yda is she's one of the pure offensive fist users. A lot of them come with gimmicks or very supporty. Like Alphinaud's very supporty. Yda's future counterpart leans more towards support. Yda's pure offense fist user, and I think that's actually kind of rare because even Sabin relies on like elemental weakness gimmicks and Prish and stuff. Like Yda's pure offense, and that's actually a pretty good thing to have.
So you're saying Yda's the best fister in the game. So going on to Walk This Way Cosmos, that's the next one to talk about. We had 2, what are they called? Nasty things. Glow lizards. That was our big boss for the Elfin Odd event. I heard some people talking about before this event launched that this was going to be a tough one because these 2 creatures have the ability to give themselves auras, give each other auras. They have the ability called, I have to look up what the actual thing is here. It's not, Guard Resonance. Reduces party brave damage taken. And then they have this Dreadlore, raises attack, and they Dreadlore, all that kind of stuff. So they have these auras about them that you can't, of course, dispel, you can't debuff. So they can be problematic. And they're immune to several debuffs, so that's problematic. So they can do quite a bit of damage pretty quick. Of course, these are the things for Cosmos. I don't think the Cosmos is an issue. There was some discussion, his sets are going to be in this. He is not in this. So your options are, who was the last Lost Chapter?
Gilgamesh.
So the options are Gilgamesh. I already forgot.
Kriese will be so mad at you.
I know, right? I'm sorry, Kriese. Don't listen to the. He's not going to listen to the show. Don't worry. So Gilgamesh, Alphinaud, Yda, and whoever else the third person was on. Who's the third person on this banner?
Yda and Celes.
Oh, Celes, yeah. So those are your 3, and she's actually good for this. Unfortunately, I didn't have Celes for the Cosmos. If I had her EX, I would have brought her because she is obviously a good magic tank. So, it's somebody to bring and use. I did bring Warrior of Light because you really need a tank with Alphinaud. Alphinaud. He really does need a tank so he doesn't get broken. My only tank option is Warrior of Light. I don't have Zach. I don't have Celeste. I don't really have anybody else to throw in the job here. So I brought Warrior of Light, Alphinaud, who is not leveled up all the way to 70. Certainly is not Crystal Strength 70. Did not have any summon boards and only had 2 of his aura passives through artifacts. Yda, again, Crystal Strength 61, level 70 for her. Decent artifacts for her because I already had decent artifacts because I've been using her since like the beginning of the game. And again, no summon boards for either one of those characters. And I was able to do it fairly easily just because of the damage output.
It's because you had Warrior of Light.
Well, but yeah, no, but Warrior of Light wasn't doing the damage. He was just making sure they weren't getting broken. But yeah, no, so if I had used, any one of the big characters with those two, I think it would have been able to do it. But yeah, there's plenty of different options. The thing is, I think those 2 characters are usable in this Cosmos. Eminosa is saying Alphinaud, Yda, Rosa, Yda, Alphinaud, Freya. So yeah, I mean, just pair those 2 with a good support character. I think all 3 synergy characters could have been used as well if you had Celeste's EX. So tons of different options. Just take them down. However best to take them down. I will say, now that we have Setzer EX, Setzer is a great friend unit because he can come in, you can pop summon, and he can immediately use his X and EX, and everybody has 50, 60,000 Brave automatically. So, and then Yda's doing, 99,999 damage, everything else. So make sure that you have some Setzer friend. I may change my friend unit to Setzer friend because he is super, super useful these days. Go ahead.
I'd argue that he's one of the best. I'd argue that he's one of the best main characters you can put in your main party. He is a monster. I've used him nonstop. I used him for this Cosmos. I used him across the entire story mode. Okay. Like all the hard levels.
He's great. Yeah. So who did you bring to the Cosmos with Setzer?
Yeah.
Who did you bring with Setzer to the Cosmos?
Sarah and Zach.
Yeah,
so
Sarah, Zach, and Setzer. Yeah, good combo. Yeah.
Oh, it was such a good team.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Again,
it was fairly easy compared to what I was expecting.
I don't think it was particularly difficult. If you are struggling with it, of course, come on to the Discord. We have a strategy and help section channel. Plenty of people can give you ideas. Of course, we have Macnol's Call to Arms. You can that's in our notes every week. You can check that out, see what other people are doing, submit your own videos, have a good time with that. So make sure that you're checking that out as well. Mino, anything else about, and the banner? Let me just, we have that banner. We got a lot of banners. Again, probably not the best banner right now. So we can go from there. But Mino, did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, let's move from Alphinaud to the Start Dash campaign. Did one of you want to walk us through? Mino, did you want to walk us through Start Dash?
I'll leave it to Ink since he's covering he's covering the characters of the story banner. Okay, yeah, sure, go for it. Wait, no, I'll take it. I'll take it because you are getting the next section with the story characters. So, okay. Start Dash campaign they're implementing now, and it is first and foremost a semi-permanent, it's pretty much permanent free multi-draw of Cloud EX, Squall EX, Lightning EX banner. 3 very good characters that have been proven to never really fallen off completely. If they have, the buffs are always quick. They're always in the front with new power creep as well. Whenever they get their boost, they're relevant. And this banner has no off banners. So that's a very appealing banner. For new players, it lasts for 7 days after they complete one of the newbie quests of equipping a weapon on a character. I started way before these beginner quests, so I have no idea how early that is, but I have to assume extremely early if you're just equipping a weapon on a character. And then for veterans like us, it is 7 days from the login of when it started. besides that, it's just a great thing to introduce to new players to help boost them out. I got a Cloud EX duplicate on my free pull.
Oh,
Did you guys
fancy.
have anything to...
That doesn't count. That doesn't count towards your number of EXs. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
I got
yeah.
a Cloud 15 CP, which continues to torment me because I spent way too many resources early on in the game chasing that weapon when I should have just, pulled other things and even not used that. So, yeah, go ahead. Ink, what did you get for your free pull?
I somehow finally got my luck changed on free pulls. I've never gotten anything better than a 15 CP, and I got Cloud's EX.
Oh, nice.
Which I have spent so much trying to get that EX on the last two banners. So this was not a free. It didn't feel like a free EX.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy, Square Enix Joshua, are you listening? This guy says free doesn't feel free.
Yeah,
he wants even more.
I've been chasing Cloud for so long. I think I've used over 200 or 300 tickets and over 50K, which I know is not bad for pity standards, but just missing him twice just felt. I honestly didn't expect to get it, and I don't even know if I'll MLB him. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Inkwelder is notoriously on the poor side of gems and tickets, so you should feel bad for him, and he really deserves this free EX that he just complained about a little bit. So,
Ink was just flexing last night about how many gems and tickets he had.
He's got
flexing in our Discord.
More than both of us combined,
I think. Wait, no.
Oh, he does. I bet.
Because you have to have more than I do, and I have half of what he does.
Yeah, I think probably the two of us combined have less gems than he does.
No, really? All right. What do you have, Mark?
Macnol. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All of us combined have less than Macnol.
Yeah. Macnol has a lot. But I save a lot, and I never chase anything, and if I'm going to pull on a banner, I'm willing to pity it if I'm using gems. And
Good.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I pulled on a banner was I pitied Renoa before last night. So
after listening to the early shows from this season of the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia version, Pierre and I spent tickets recklessly and without abandon, and gems. I like 4 months in.
I still do.
Like 4 months in, I had hoarded 17,000 gems. Now, to be fair, I will say I was listening around the time of the first Lost Chapter. So that would have been Squall, Setzer, Vanille Lost Chapters. I was averaging or planning in my plan for pulls 15,000 gems a month free. And we're now getting, thank you, Square, 75,000 roughly gems every month free, with Summon Board averaging out with that situation. So things have come a long way in the gem generation and the ability we have to draw and pull on new things. Also, the realities of the fact, we made the comment about, we were wondering if a weekly banner would ever have more than just 15 CP weapons on it. And I'm like, we have come a long way from those early days. And how fortunate we are, those of us who have been playing since day one, to be with this. But I did want to stop a moment while we're talking about Start Dash and talk about, if you are new to the game. And I encourage everybody, if they know people, this is a great time to join the game. Because we have the Start Dash campaign, we have these new banners, and we have two excellent banners, one right now and one coming up. This Start Dash banner is going to be great for anybody, and I would encourage anyone who is starting the game right now to start the game, to play through whatever you have to until you can pull, and to pull on this banner. And this is how I would prioritize this Start Dash banner. Cloud's EX and Cloud's Kit, and then I would prioritize Squall 15 and 35 for regular story content. Yeah, Lightning's great, Squall's great, but and they're going to be great again. So if you could get the entire banner, great. I don't think it's a banner that's probably worth investing in to do that. But definitely, if you get Cloud's entire kit, if you get Squall's 15 and 35 CP, and then you pull on the other banner that's going to be coming out for a support character, or wait for Alphinaud or Charlotta, you're going to have at least a really solid team that's going to get you through all of the story content, start working through the various different things in World of Illusion and Lost Chapters, and you're going to be able to build up your resources as we head into Chaos here next month potentially, and be on set for a good track. So I think this is an excellent idea from Square. I had commented on the past, so I take most credit for it, that this was a tough game to start for new people, because depending on when you started, there wasn't a lot of good options depending on what the banners were. So maybe you were on a heavy support banner, a heavy magic banner, a heavy melee banner. This is a great banner. Everyone who starts the game is going to get it for 7 days. They can pull on it to get, a solid character or a few solid characters, their kits, and go through the content and be able to beat the story content fairly easily. And also then have characters that are going to be competitive in higher end content as they build their crew. So, Mino, I'll let you continue about that, but that's my 2 cents on that. So I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, sure. And the one thing I just wanted to add to what you were saying, it used to be 9K gems a month, and now it's about 75K gems. Well, there's also inflation. Back then, you only needed 1 weapon. Now you need 3, and then, multiple copies to get the MLB. Back then, one copy of 15 CP, what you're...
But you know as well as I do that I was spending 50,000 gems to pull a 35 CP. You spent a lot to try to pull an EX. So yes, you're right in a sense, but there's also a guaranteed of getting the weapon that you want. So I think it does even out quite a bit. I think the game is more generous now than it was, even though, yes, you didn't need 35 CPs for the first 6 months of the game at all. You probably even didn't need the 15 CPs just except for the stats. But either way, things have been getting much more generous. So
right.
Please continue.
Sure.
So the next thing we have in the Start Dash campaign is the limited time EX exchange, which, as we said last week, from the start, every day you can earn up to 1 EX token, up to 10, and you can just wait on the 10th day and collect it all at once if you want, to trade for one of the EXs for the protagonists of FF1 through 15, 16 in total, because Cecil's counted twice. And it's a tough choice for veterans, honestly. I mean, I'm torn. I think everyone's a little torn. Do you guys know what you're getting with those?
Yeah, we were going to talk about that. So yeah, what's everyone's take personally just here today about what you're going to take? Now, I think if you don't have any of them, I think Warrior of Light or Cloud are your 2 top picks. Warrior of Light is great. Warrior of Light is great right now. His EX Plus is great. Cloud's EX Plus is great. He's great right now. Of course, there's a couple other characters: Y'shtola, Tidus, Shuntodal, Paladin, Cecil, Bartz, Furion. I mean, but it all depends on who you have. So for me, I have Warrior of Light, I have Onion Knight, I have Paladin Cecil, I have Bartz, I have Cloud, I have Terra, I have Squall, I have Zidane, I have Tidus, I don't have Vaughn, I don't have Lightning, I have Noctis. So really the option for me is, do I pick up Vaughn, which I've been chasing forever and never gotten, or do I pick up Y'shtola for later on when she becomes very good? And that's probably what I'm going to go with. I'm probably going to go with Y'shtola.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming into this fresh, most of them are very strong, very viable, good choices. I'd say the only ones to really avoid are, like Vaughn?
Yeah, Vaughn because he's elemental.
Yeah, Furion.
No, I mean
maybe.
Seriously, if you're a brand new player, you have the Start Dash thing right now. You get Cloud EX and his kit. You get Squall for clearing trash mobs, and you pick up Warrior of Light's EX, and that team is going to get you through normal content, right? Is that team not going to deal with any content? Maybe some magic content. You're going to have to get a mage at some point, but I mean, I think that would be my go-to if I was brand new to pick those two.
Right.
But.
So
Terra's awful, yeah.
Well, so the one that I want to point out, at least for people, because a lot of people have the strategy of pulling the story banner that's out now, which has Noctis on it, and then EX tokening Noctis because Noctis is in the shop. So the thing is, you have to keep in mind is that it's October 10th right now. You're going to get to claim your EX on October 19th.
Yeah.
Charlotta comes out October 31st. That is a whopping 12 days. And right after that is Chaos. And Noctis can do some Chaos, maybe, but not much. So you're basically going to use him for 12 days, maybe 14 days, and then he's going to be benched. So unless he's your favorite and you definitely want him, he gets better later on. Don't get me wrong. If you have the other characters and Noctis is a favorite, then great. But if your roster is really tight, you might not want to grab Noctis. You might want to grab Warrior of Light or Cloud or...
There was a lot of people talking about not pulling on the Noctis banner last month because of the potential EX shop. And my personal opinion and why I pulled on Noctis last month was I want to use him now in Chaos or in Cosmos while I can use him and while he's going to be super powerful, realizing that if we don't get the EX shop till next month, like we have, he's not going to be particularly useful. You know, you're going to get his EX and then you're going to be sitting on it for a while. Now, that being said, I'm getting Y'shtola's EX and going to sit on it for a while. But yeah, I think you probably missed your Noctis window unless you have others and you're not worried about it. Yeah.
All right. And then, I mean, it just boils down to...
Charlotta, thank you. Someone help me with that name. Someone sound that out.
No, global. She is on October 31st. It is at least that is what is on Decidia DB. Obviously, it's not on the calendar, so it's not official necessarily, but it is October 31st for Charlotte.
Late October, early November, definitely. So, but coming quickly, and yeah. So,
okay, so moving on, it's the rest of the Start Dash campaigns.
What
daily
are you picking?
reward.
You didn't tell us what you're picking up.
Oh,
Either one of you,
I was gonna say, like at the end of the day, it's completely situational because veterans. We covered what's good for new players, and for veterans, people have a different collection of these 16 already, so we can't really give advice on that. But I guess if you're asking for mine specifically,
for you, yeah,
I'm as someone who has Vayne and will not be pulling on the Vayne banner, which is the only time Pessel's coming back, I'm leaning towards just grabbing Pessel because I don't see myself rolling on any of his banners in the future. Whereas all the other characters I don't have, like Onion Knight or Bartz or Dark Knight Cecil, they come on better banners with better banner mates. So I was between that. Well, that's pretty much what I'm leaning towards. Pessel, I know Onion Knight is a pretty good pickup, but his return banner is not bad. But yeah, I'm probably going to do that because Pessel shares it with Vayne, and he has no other guaranteed banner coming back. But yeah, so moving on, there's extra orbs and crystals from daily quests for Start Dash campaign. Double cycle quests are back, and World of Illusion Carbuncle is back. So basically, again, perfect for new players to start now. Level up your weapons, get your crystals, even level up Chocobo and Sylph, who I keep forgetting exist on a regular basis.
Yeah, they still are in this game.
I know, right? Like World of Illusion Carbuncle is like, what's that? I haven't seen that in a year and a half. Is it
actually live?
That's a good question.
Oh yeah,
again,
I
didn't even check for it. I didn't even check for it.
Yep, it's second.
It's there.
Did Ink tell us what he was grabbing on the EX shop?
I thought he did.
I didn't, but I honestly don't know because, like I said, I got Cloud's EX. So
right. It's just ruined. You shouldn't have even pulled.
Well, I wasn't even gonna get Cloud, but the whole thing is if you are trying to balance your roster at least, you don't need Cloud, Warrior of Light, Ultimacia, Charlotta, all these meta characters. You only need some of them. So the fact that I have Cloud and the fact that I plan to get Charlotta, I'll either probably token Warrior of Light, or I'll try to maybe I'll token a favorite like Paladin Cecil or Tidus.
All right,
All
so moving
Yeah.
on, simultaneously, we've got the Trick or Treat the Autumn event,
The
and
autumn
that
event.
comes with
Yes.
animated sticker that we got from last year, like an animated version of a sticker
Yes,
we got from
it's a
last
new
year.
sticker. Yes.
I like it a lot. A lot of people said they would have preferred the animated sticker of Mog throwing candy in the air, but this one's really good. This is my choice where where he gets shocked because it goes with my profile picture, shocked Shantoto, and let's see. So it comes with the familiar co-op, very easy, all synergy. I like it. Lots of fun to run through and just try out different characters. Um, and if you didn't play last year, the Trick or Treat format is you do one wave of trash mobs, and then the last wave can either be bosses or the magic pot, which gives you a ton of rewards for very little effort. And Square Enix Joshua made sure to point out last time that the slide also said trick or treat or question mark. And there's been a lot of theorizing, but being a weenie, I went to confirm with him directly. And the question mark is apparently the chance to spawn those three knights, right? Those three infamous knights from our
Yes.
yeah,
Forum.
right. If you've
Oh,
been playing for a while,
I have confirmed it because I've run into them.
right. I've seen them too. I just didn't realize that was a surprise because while it is three, they didn't seem too tough. So I thought they were just like adjusted to all the other enemies. But I'm sure it's a great inside joke. If you've been a veteran, it was bugged for a while, and we had a lot of fun with that on the podcast too. About how it was unbeatable, and we were making challenges around that for a while, and then they came back, and now so Joshua said this is basically trick or treat or double trick, and, I'm fine with it. It's a nice little surprise, but I also think it's funny that the surprise is more trick.
More tricks.
Yeah, several tricks.
I
What
love
were you
the
gonna say?
format because you can, if you face the knights, even as a guest without using your link bell, you get gold Idoja tokens.
Oh, I did
So
not know that. That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. Getting Idoja tokens just for guesting, it's a really nice thing for you to just spam if you need artifact fodder or you want to try and grab some of those.
Yeah. And 40 gold Idoja tokens for just using a bell is a really good reward too. I really like that. Besides that, that's it for the trick or treat. I think it says part 1, so we'll get a part 2 in about a week.
Very nice.
So we'll see if there's anything more of that. But honestly, I really do like these little seasonal events that are very low stress and anyone can participate in. And as the community has been saying, any event with all synergy is just a blast to play.
It is,
because they get
and
to bust out their favorites from ages ago.
lots of fun combinations. I've pretty much been using Setzer the entire time, but lots of fun combinations. You can just bring pretty much any character and have a good time with it. So, yeah, and they're not. This is right now we're level 80. Yeah, Square Enix Joshua is saying the World of Final Fantasy twins are a beast in the event. Yeah, they are, especially with how quick this event is. Probably even without their EX, I only have their 15 CP. You could probably just go win 3 turns with them and be fine. And Royalai is using Palom, Sid, Maria, Ash. Of course, we wouldn't expect anything else from Arrow. But yeah, the twins are doing any AO. I mean, even Squall. I haven't brought Squall yet, but I bet Squall is pretty useful in this event because you always start with those ghosts.
Sarah is Sarah. I've just been grinding her nonstop since she awakened, and we'll cover her in a bit. But
Right.
the fact that you can start off with her additional ability, giving the entire party overflow, and it's I mean, it makes the co-op go so fast because she's all very AoE focused. So she's also really good.
Yeah.
And Ragnamune in chat saying, "Ha!" And you all said pulling on twins was a bad idea. I have gone on record several times
we have
saying
said many times how much we love using them to farm.
Yeah, I've gone on record many times saying I regret actually not pulling on twins because I've used them a lot. So that's one of my bigger regrets, honestly, not pulling on twins. Will I want to pull them when they come back? I don't know, but but twins and Rydia, I wish I had for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on to the story chapter. Look, so I know that I've already come to terms. I used to think I can finish the story chapter overnight and be ready for the podcast.
Nope.
I've come to terms. It's just not possible for me
kids.
Anymore. I didn't even finish normal mode, to be honest.
I didn't even start the story chapter because, I've been working all day. I logged in last night right before I went to bed, and I've been working till about an hour before we started streaming. So
right. So I mean, it seems like majority of the player base is in the same boat because we've gotten a lot of requests today, both in chat right now and in the Discord, saying please don't discuss the story in the story chapter.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the story chapter briefly. We're not going to spoil anything. So we encourage everybody to go play through it. We may talk about it next week or the week after to talk about the spoilers a little bit on the show. This show, no spoilers. We are going to talk about the characters, what they do, all that kind of stuff, but no spoilers. Play through this chapter. Everything we've heard is that this chapter is an amazing chapter, and Ink is going to take us through that. So,
sorry. And then before I was going to say, Ink, do you want to cover the fights, or should we just save that for next time when we do talk about the story? Do you want to just cover the characters? Up to you, your discretion, because you're the one who prepared and you know how long.
Maybe if there's some hints on the fights that would help.
Well,
Yeah,
all I would say is that one of the reasons why the story is so good is that you get to, as you know, like we have to face mannequins and stuff like that in every story that we do. And it is cool that one of the bosses can use their EX ability, which is awesome. So it's a lot of fun. There are at least 3 levels that are very hard, that are level 120. I would consider all of them harder than Alphinaud's Cosmos, at least from my perspective. So there's a lot of really fun. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. It's a good challenge and it's not going anywhere. So have your time to complete it, test your roster against it. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm about 60% through, and I haven't seen Jekt in a cutscene yet, so I don't think it can be that good of a chapter.
It's probably not a great.
I mean, like 40%. I don't know. It's not looking good.
Yeah, Joshua is reminding us that the missions are not permanent. So the missions are. I just got new missions for Walk This Way, Start Dash Campaign. The Clear Act 2, Chapter 5, Will of the Hunters is a 16-day mission, and that's 200 yellow high shards and 100 yellow high crystals. So do clear it. You don't have to complete it, right? Clear is just clear. To get those limited times, so you have 16 days. That's still a lot. But then there's the permanent rewards for under player. But under events, there's a 16-day event. So make sure that you clear the chapter to do that. So, yep.
That's just normal mode, right?
Yeah, that would be just normal mode.
Okay, good, cool.
And clear normal mode. Yep.
All right, great. So, Ink drew the straws to cover these characters.
Yeah, I wonder how that worked.
I think, I
want to talk about Noel.
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know. What happened was I think we couldn't decide how to split the workload, so we said Mark choose first.
I did.
And I forgot what. I think Mark chose because you luck sacked.
I luck sacked
weapon,
Yda.
right?
Well, I said no. I to be fair, I said I'll cover Alphinaud and Yda, and then I felt like I had to pull on those banners so that I actually had them. That's what I do for the show.
I mean, it's the same thing with Ink, too. He was covering Lock and Null, so he pitied until he got both of them. So, I mean, I like that you guys are so dedicated to the show.
So dedicated.
that you guys,
Absolutely.
I'll be pulling for Realm next week, so
Yeah.
we'll see. But go ahead, in any order you want. Maybe Locke rework first, Ink. Why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, sure. So if you all listen to my knock this one, I'm gonna do this a little differently just to cover basically how do you use the character, and I'll mention any of the reworked items while I go. I think it's just better that way. So hopefully you actually get something that's not in an infographic and not posted, hopefully. Locke, we'll start with him. So his event reran, so you can go recruit Locke if you didn't yet. If you did.
Question. Why did they do that? Why did they do that when the LC's already out? Somebody brought that up today.
I think it's just because there's story there. So like there's a story associated with Locke, and Locke is on the story chapter banner, and he's part of, obviously, all the characters are part of the story that are on the banner. So I think it was just to continue the story, but I agree they could have not reran the event if they wanted to.
Oh, never mind. Slide says his LC is not out.
Not his LC.
I'm crazy. Never mind.
Yeah,
somebody
his LC
in our Discord
does not come out for quite some time.
Exactly. What is it? That's what I thought. Okay. Somebody in our Discord this morning said, "Why is Locke's event here when you can just play his LC?" And wow, yeah, they confused me. So I blame whoever said that. And
his LC will not be coming out for quite some time. So, yeah.
All right. So let me dive into Locke. So the first thing is just covering his auras, because now he has auras for the party. So his Crystal 54 now gives 20% max brave to the party. His Crystal 68, if you give him the high crystals up to 68, will give 10% attack and 10% eye brave to the party. So some decent auras to go along with him. Okay, now we're just going to cover using Locke, and I'll try to explain as I go along. So when you start off with Locke, you're always going to want to start off with Sneak Slash. That's his skill 1. You get 10 uses of it, so quite a lot. It gives him his Brigand's Glove buff. It buffs his attack and max brave, which is why you want to get that on as soon as possible. And now it dumps the HP, so you get an HP attack afterward. That turns into Sneak Plus after. And so Sneak Plus, Locke has 3 framed buffs. So Brigand's Glove is the first one from Sneak. Sneak Plus is going to give him a 50% chance at either Genji Gloves buff or Miracle Shoes buff, which if you played FF6, you definitely know what those are. It's totally random, 50-50 as to which one you get. And if you use Sneak Plus while you already have one, it's going to refresh the buff. So just be aware of that. And Sneak Plus will also do the whole knock this mechanic of moving Locke's turn to right before the enemy. So just be wary if you're using like a Quistis friend, or you're delaying them a lot with someone else. Just be wary of that. You also can get that Genji or Miracle buff. You can get it from Mug, which is now his Brave Plus, and it's 2 hits, which is nice. So depending on which buff you get is going to determine how you use Locke after you've opened up with Sneak Slash and then Sneak Slash Plus. So if you got Miracle Shoes buff, the Miracle Shoes is a one-time use HP plus. It doesn't. It gives you instant turn rate, so it's a Brave plus HP, but it doesn't consume the turn count anymore. So Locke gets to go again right away. Miracle Shoes buff goes away, and it doesn't use a turn, which is amazing. It's so good that he got that. The other option is the HP plus for Genji Gloves, which is actually pretty good. It's 2 Brave plus HP. It overflows 120%. So it's a good attack to keep up. If you get the Genji Gloves buff, you want to hold on to that until it starts to run low, like right around two turns remaining. Just because there's a bit of a balance with Locke because it's 50-50 which one you get. You want Genji Gloves buff because it buffs your attack. You want it when his EX comes up because his EX has been out for a while. So it's still a little weak, but it does overflow 150%, which is good. So you want to make sure his attack is buffed when he uses his EX. So there is a bit of a hunt at times to get the Genji Gloves buff. So if you get it, keep it. Don't refresh it right away. And from the EX, you get his Treasure Hunter buff. So that's his third framed buff, and that's going to buff his attack and Max Brave. And basically, at this point, Locke is ready to go. He's fully buffed and at his full potential. And just in terms of who he works well with, before I get to the rest of his kit, because he's 3 framed buffs, he works really well with Sarah, with Ramza, with Ashe. They all buff generic buffs, which is really nice. So they work really well with him. I've tested him with Sarah and Ramza, and it's amazing. He deals really nice damage because he's average damage without a support. So definitely run some support with him. You could also run Warrior of Light and Zac and anyone else that locks, draws the attention of the opponent, of the enemy, just because Locke apparently deals 50% more damage on his skill 1 if he's not being targeted. So there's some synergy there with Warrior of Light and Zac. They're both really strong. And then finally, the last synergy that Locke has is with Vayne or Null, who I'm about to cover, because they have an unbreak mechanic. And Locke, when you MLB his EX, it gives the party 100% break bonus up. And that stacks with the Bahamut summon also. So you can basically use breaking an enemy as a battery. I think even without using Bahamut, I was getting like 4 to 5K battery from just breaking a target, which is really, really nice. So some really good synergy with Null and Vayne because they do unbreak the enemy. So the last thing I'll cover is just Locke, sort of like Setzer has the Freeze Joker, which is like the ultimate, like, oh no, I'm in trouble button. Locke has a couple things that are really useful. His skill 2 that I didn't talk about yet is Phoenix Ray. He now has 6 uses of it. So it's an AoE shave, which is really nice if you need to shave multiple enemies. It overflows 150% now. It heals the party, so it's a really good burst heal that if you need it. And that's one of his emergency or one of his helpful skills. His additional ability, his C65, it dispels a buff, which is very odd, and I'm sure it'll come in handy for some boss. But if you do need to remove a buff from a target, his C65 does let you do that. It also gives him the Genji or Miracle framed buff, which is nice. So just be aware of that if you have Genji gloves and you use his C65, it may fall off and you may get Miracle shoes. And his C70 is going to give him 50% gravity, and then he batteries himself that amount. So you have a really strong sort of additional ability. It's 2 uses, but just to get rid of a buff to shave down an enemy is pretty handy. So that is all things Locke. Hopefully that was helpful. Have either of you guys used Locke or played with Locke? I know. So I
did pull his
right
35
before.
CP, so I think now I have his, or I may have already had his 35 CP, but I have not been using him. No, not at all.
I got his whole kit through tickets, and I just don't want to use him, to be honest.
Kriese loves Locke. So.
He is so much fun to play.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
But, did you have more to add to that?
No, I would just say he's really fun to play. He definitely can go through all of Cosmos, or most of Cosmos, certainly, because it's very rare to get an attacker, a melee attacker like Locke, that heals the party. It's a very unique mechanic. So if you need some roles covered, Locke is definitely a great character, and he has a really early month 2 is his EX plus. So and his EX plus is quite good for him. So it's worth looking at if you need someone for your team.
So what I said when he first came out, and I'm seeing a lot of people on the Discord agree with my past sentiments now that they've gotten his kit, is that I just don't like... I mean, so like RNG based is fun. He's RNG based because his battle plan changes depending on what buff he gets, and the buff chance is 50-50, as Ink said. And that's fun to play, technically, because you're thinking on the fly and you have to adjust your strategy, theoretically, but like it's just... that's not the playstyle that I like. Like, I like to go in with a plan or have synergy and not just be like, okay, well, I guess the team's doing whatever the whims of Locke Smug is going to do. And also, he still at least has the conditional of attacking opponents that aren't targeting him. And it's not as bad because he's nowhere near relying on it as Lion, but he's also not like Yda, who can just brute force through it. I think it's a pretty significant bonus for him. And I don't know, he's juggling a lot of things in the air, and it's more like freestyle playing, in my opinion, than planned playing, which just isn't my personal style. So I'm saying, like, I got his stuff, but I'm not hesitant to even MLB his stuff because I'm not personally interested in using him. Mark, have you played or have any thoughts about this?
I do not have really any experience with Locke. I have his 15 and 35 CP. He's leveled, obviously. I have not leveled him up to 70 yet because I've not broken any of this current group yet. But yeah, I know Kriese loves him.
Yeah,
it sounds like he sounds like, excuse me, kind of like Yda. Sounds like he's a fun character to play. He's gonna serve you well here, the rest of Cosmos. Maybe limitedly moving forward, and maybe again during his EX Plus era. So, yeah. That's good, you know.
There was a big discussion on him in our chat. Either it was like last night or this morning, and I remember people were working out the theory crafting on him. I think Gatman John in our Discord gave a really good breakdown. But basically, I think newer players who are just testing him out are saying, so basically, you want Genji gloves. You don't really want Miracle Shoes, because Genji gloves are just better in almost every situation. But if you get Miracle Shoes, you get the consolation prize of a free turn or something like that.
So the reason why Miracle Shoes, I agree, it can be rough when you want Genji gloves and you get Miracle, but sometimes it goes the other way. Like if you're farming Shiva, or even when I was doing some levels, if you're paying attention to Unbreak, it's really nice if you can, you want Miracle so that you can get a free turn, so that the enemy unbreaks, then you can break them again. If you're running it with Bane or someone else, you can further delay them. So there are some nice nuances to using Miracle Shoes, but I agree, it's more situational.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the secondary character. I think the character everyone's been talking about is that other guy, Father Christmas himself, Noel. I know that's not how you say it. Give me a break.
No worries. So I'm going to cover Noel's kit is a little simpler than Locke's. So I'm going to do the same thing. What?
I said really?
I thought you said it was similar to Vayne.
I thought he was range Vayne.
I thought it was Ice Wind Vayne.
They're trolling me.
Aren't they from the same game?
Pretty much, yeah. That's Final Fantasy XI.
I will get to how Noel and Vayne are similar and different, but
nice.
I'll cover the kit first. I hope everyone will enjoy the comparison between those two afterward, though. So, like I said with when I was going over Locke and Noel work nicely together because Noel, he's a melee attacker and he's got the delay mechanic because he can unbreak a broken target. So with Noel, you are always going to open up with his skill 2, which is Galefang. He's got 5 uses of it, so you use them pretty sparingly, but it gives him his framed buff, Last Hunter. And then the rest of your decisions with Noel have to do completely with whether the target is broken or not. So against a broken target, we'll start with that. You can use your skill 1, which is Tempest Strike. You've got 8 uses of that. That is going to unbreak the broken target, and then it's going to do its normal attack, 4 Brave plus HP. It's got a 120 overflow. That's the first thing you can do. It's a great option to delay the enemy, to charge summon faster. A lot of good things there. You can use his HP plus, which is just a 2 Brave plus HP, but it overflows 150. So that's a good option if you got batteried and you want to just dump your Brave before using Tempest Strike, because it does overflow more than your skill 1. The other thing is you can use his EX. So his EX has a plus variant. Please never ever use Noel's EX against an unbroken target. So his EX ignores defense regardless. However, the plus variant, when it's being used on a broken target, it deals 50% splash damage to the other enemies for the entire amount of damage that Null dealt. And the reason why that's such a big deal is that he deals 3 brave hit plus HP attacks repeated 4 times. So he's generally splashing for 20 or 30k, probably more. I don't even have boards or artifacts on him, and he was just doling out a ton of damage. And his EX is on a normal recharge, so you're generally getting it with 2 ability uses. Selfie cuts it down to 1 ability use and a Brave Plus or an HP Plus. Okay, those were all the broken options. If the target's unbroken, you are usually going to want to use his Brave Plus to break the target. If the Brave Plus breaks it, breaks the enemy, his next ability use is free. So that's similar to like Thancred. Except thankfully, when you break the enemy, Null will get like a white flame, white aura around him, and that lets you know that the next ability you use is going to be free, which is great. If from there, you're generally with your free ability, you're going to want to do skill 2 because you have only 5 uses of it. If you need a delay, you only can use your skill 1, but the skill 2 overflows more up to 180% on the plus variant, so it's really. And then the I guess more pro tip, or the tip that you may not realize that's really nice, is if you have your free ability and your EX is up and the enemy became unbroken, like it recovered from break, you don't want to use your EX on it. You don't want to waste your free skill. So you can actually use his additional ability, his C65. It does a 50% gravity, so it shaves Brave in half by 50%, and then it deals a Brave hit, and it gives him attack up. So you can use his AA, you'll break the target. Because it was a free ability, you didn't use your AA at all. So you still have it available to you, the 2 uses. And then now the target's broken, so now you can use your EX, and it'll be the plus variant dealing a ton of damage. That's basically using Null. I ran him in multiple levels already, and honestly, he's just, even outside of synergy, he hits like a truck. And I'll go over that in just a second. So yeah, he doesn't, Slide is mentioning, or I think, he doesn't have any high turn rate skills. I think Brave Plus might be high turn rate, but other than that, he's not going to jump turns at all, so just be aware of his speed there. So the last thing to know about Null that I haven't mentioned is that his skill 1 is wind and ice element. So right now that's not as big a deal, but in Chaos, when bosses start to absorb elements, that is potentially going to lock Null out of doing anything, unfortunately. So he just keep an eye on that. So
yeah,
now what I want to talk about.
Go ahead. No, continue.
Oh, I want to do the comparison because it's, I guess, relevant. So a lot of people, because Null has an unbreak, they want to compare him to Vayne and say that Null is basically the wind, ice, or wind version of Vayne. And that's just very wrong. So I'm going to go over how they're the same and how they're different very quickly. So they're both melee and they both unbreak the target. And that is literally where the comparisons end. That's all that's in common with their kit. Vayne has free turns. Null has free abilities. Vayne has a magical EX. Null doesn't. Null has elements. Vayne doesn't have that. Vayne has to constantly rebuild his stacked buff, the stacks in his buff. Null never loses his stacked buff unless you let it fall off. Null gets upgraded skills if the enemy is broken. Vayne gets it if he has 3 stacks of his framed buff, which those have nothing alike. Null ignores defense, and he hits like a truck. If you didn't know, I'll paste it in chat in a minute. Null, with his EX right now in GL, has higher attack than every unit in JP right now. His EX gets higher attack per level than every other EX weapon, even EX plus. So if you sort your box, you'll notice Null has, his weapon has 1370 attack. The next closest in my box is VV's EX with 1000. It is a significant difference. And so Null hits really hard. Because Vayne has free turns, he does not hit hard. he hits hard over a series of free turns. And so because of that, Vayne doesn't really get used in Chaos very much. I saw one run in Garland Chaos with him, and that was it. Maybe like one Awakening wave. He barely gets used because he doesn't have a high enough attack stat to deal with Chaos that increase defense. Null, however, has no problem with it because of how hard he hits, as long as his elements aren't resisted or absorbed.
But if I remember looking at the early Chaos, he didn't see a lot of play. So what's going on there?
You mean Null or
Vayne?
Null? So Null got used a lot in Beta 5.
In Beta,
he got used. Yep, he got used in a lot of the Fiat levels, especially the far ends of Dimension. He got used in Fiat 1 a lot. So and basically starting at. Not to get too far into the future. So when Vaughn gets his EX plus, Vaughn and Null share elements. And so starting from there, they start to, I believe they start to get a little lax with the bosses resisting, absorbing a lot of elements. And so you can actually use Null on a lot of those Chaos levels just fine. And it's not really a carry. Like he contributes quite well if you build a team. A good team around him. So
let me cut in.
No,
sorry, let me cut in and I'll switch back to you, Mark, because people are talking about it in chat right now. So they're asking, why does Null have 270 attack higher than everybody else on his weapon? And so in the JP version, when this happened and the players noticed, developers said it was indeed a mistake. It was a bug. He was not intended to have his weapon damage be so high. But because DFFOO has the habit of keeping errors in the favor of the player, which I know they've done before, but I can't recall. But I know Fang's level 70 Awakening is the same thing coming up. The developers said again that Fang's AA was supposed to only increase HP damage dealt on launches, but it was bugged and it was increasing all HP damage done. And they just said, forget it. This is a bug in the favor of the players, so we're keeping it and we're just redoing the description saying it increases all HP damage. So Null was not supposed to be this monstrous offensive beast, and I think they caught this early, and when you see his EX plus come, they don't really add potencies because his attack's already like ridiculous near the end of the EX plus era, and because of that, they also started making early Chaos bosses absorb or nullify ice and wind. That's why even though he has a ridiculous attack stat, they shut him out because they never wanted Null to be good. That was an accident.
Is that the issue with early Chaos for Null? Is that there are several bosses that resist ice and wind?
Shut his element out. Yeah. That shut his element out. So he can't do his unbreak and he can't do his big damage.
So Ink, Aria's Music is asking, and you answered in chat, but answer live. It sounds like Null is a must pull, not for Chaos necessarily, but for far end of Dimension or possibly Abyss. Is that what you're saying, or do you want to comment on that more?
No, thank you. So no, he's definitely not a must pull. Really, no one at all is a must pull. The best thing that I would recommend to anybody is grabbing people that have support-like qualities. So Null, you're going to get more damage dealers in Chaos. So if you happen to pull him, I pulled him because I have Celis MLB. And so when Celis comes back, she's with Locke. And so I didn't want to pull and get a duplicate of Celis. And I also really like Null. And I like FF13. So I figured I get 2 EX weapons for characters that I like. It is certainly a very good banner, really strong banner, but yeah, you don't need to pull. I would say that when Arrowlie comes on the show in 2 weeks, she should talk to you about people that have really unique kits that are definitely worth looking at. But yeah, definitely not a must pull. No one is a must pull.
Good, thank you.
The last comparison that I want to point out between Null and Vayne, if you've used either of these or you've seen them in co-op, Null has absolutely the worst posture in the game. He is basically hunched over. Vayne stands tall. It is perfect, absolutely perfect posture.
Yeah.
So they have nothing. They have very, very little in common.
Nothing counting.
So
Yeah,
stop calling.
Vayne has
calling
excellent
him
posture, great hygiene. Noel was raised by like Mughals or something ridiculous, right? So
Yeah, it's a hunter versus a politician.
Exactly. From the future. He's from the future.
Yeah.
That's what I know. I never played.
All right, that is all I've got on Locke and
well,
Noel,
thank
so
you,
hopefully that was
Ink,
good.
for that insightful walkthrough Locke rework and Noel.
Did you have something to add to that, Mark? I got some more notes on Noel, but I don't know. Have you been able to use him or
no, I
pull his
don't
weapons?
even have him. No.
Oh, right.
I literally don't even have him. So, yeah.
All right. So, I lucked into Noel again. I wasn't planning on pulling him, but goddamn am I glad that I accidentally got him because a lot of people are accusing me for hating complicated kits because I hate on Alize and I hate on Locke just now, and it's just. But Noel has a complicated kit, in my opinion, and I think he is a blast. See, Alize, you can say she's complicated, but it's not. You're just following a flowchart. She's very rigid, very. I hate everything about that character. Even with the EX, I think it's too rigid. Locke is more RNG based. That's whatever. I said it's just not my cup of tea, but he's still a fine character. Noel, he has an answer to everything. Each of his abilities, even his Brave Plus, HP Plus, and AA, are all like, it's not RNG based because you can plan around the unbreaks. You can plan around, like, he comes in fresh and he needs to break a target, he can use his AA. He can use his AA to gravity. You need to pierce defense or do AoE damage, you've got the EX. Second skill for the big hit and for broken targets. First skill for already broken target. Already broken targets, Brave Plus, 2 break, HP Plus if you're capped. He has an answer to every problem, which is why I think he is so fun to play, because you can't go in with a preset plan. When it's his turn, you're just like, all right, you look at the battlefield and you're like, well, what does he need to do? So I think Noel is an extremely fun character. We all know he's not going to make it very far, but I'm glad I lucked into him, because he is so much fun to play. I'm using him as much as possible now. Not in the Halloween co-op, though, because AoE is king there, and Noel takes a little more ramp-up time than usual. I think I'm spamming, like, Setzer and Renault in there or something. I remember I tried running Aerith to get some hands-on experience for my review of her later, and my real-life friend was yelling at me, saying that I probably made the co-op last 3 times longer than it needed to. Because Aerith is not in a good spot. But I love Noel's kit, and I think more characters need to be like him. I think a lot of characters coming up in the Chaos era are like him, where they have complicated kits, but it's all because all the buttons have certain situations to deal with, and they all have a lot of synergy. I do not think Locke's kit has that much synergy. I think they just threw a bunch of stuff at him and hoped it worked. Like, here's some AoE, here's some battery, here's some healing, maybe a sneak attack here and there, here's a random buff to change your Brave Plus HP. Like, I don't think you can form a battle plan around Locke. Would you agree with that?
So Slide and Don Sombrero, before we get too far into Locke, are saying that Noel has an answer to everything, just not element resistant enemies. So
that's very fair. Yeah.
The one thing I will note that was rough is that he doesn't have an AoE shave. So if you do run him with Selfie and there's 3 enemies, him and Selfie, if you get a bad turn order, you might end up where you've got two people that need to be shaved, or all 3 need to be shaved.
Great
and
point.
He has no answer to that. So that's the only thing that, if you do want to run him with Selfie, and I tried it, and they're very strong together, but you do have to, like, build a proper team. Like, you have to have a third person that can AoE Brave Shave.
Right.
With those 2.
And I completely agree with you. I didn't mean that Noel's invincible. Of course not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he has options, and the decision-making when it's his turn matters. Unlike Warrior of Light, where I've literally played co-ops blind with Warrior of Light. I don't care which ability I'm hitting. because they're going to do damage and shield. And like it really doesn't matter what I'm pressing. Whereas for Null, you actually have what tabletop gaming calls decision points. You need to make more decisions when playing Null. Not like Warrior of Light or hell, even Vayne, I think is pretty one-dimensional, right? So like I'm saying Null differs in this aspect to Alize, to Shilok, to I like Noctis. I think Noctis makes a lot of good decisions. So I do think Noctis and Null are really fun. But like unlike his twin brother Vayne, he actually plays slightly different. Slightly in that. What? Go ahead.
I'll defend Mino a little bit here, just because he has a type, right? So Noctis isn't bad, Null isn't bad. He's pulling Realm next week, and all three of those characters are pretty complex to use, but they're very like you have to make decisions at every one of their turns as to what you want to do. You have to plan around buffs or plan around the enemy, and so yeah, I think you like complicated kits. You just don't like flowcharts.
Well, Aminosa in chat right now puts it a great way. He says Null is more flowchart based, but loosely, as in like it's not like Alize saying, "Here are your next 7 turns that you need to press." Null is still like a priority system, kind of, but like it's spread out a lot more. Lock is more adapting to what you get, which I understand. I just like, I think, versatility in kit, because I'm going to get to the 2 characters I have to cover, and I drew the short straw because these are really boring characters.
Yeah, so let's stop. Let's stop for a second.
Drinking.
Let's stop for a second. We're going to transition to those characters. A couple things in chat before we do transition to those other reworks, and not reworks, AAs, EX, etc. Well, I guess there's a rework in there, a couple of reworks. Aria's Music is asking about all AAs or additional abilities, those C65 abilities. We have a limited amount of Bloomstones. Who should we be using them on? I think my advice is don't use them. I have 3. I bloomed Warrior of Light, Noctis, Pain. And that's kind of my Cosmos team. And I'm pretty much, unless there's somebody else significantly needs it, I'm not using Bloomstones until Chaos era. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you plan it out, you see who needs it, who doesn't, and go from there. Did you have insight on that, Ink?
Yeah, I mean, just click on the Bloomstone before you use it. It's most of the Bloomstones are going to extend the duration of whatever buff is going on. So people like Saz and Sarah that have overflow to the party, those are great options to extend those, because getting party overflow from 2 or 3 turns to 5 turns makes a big difference for the team. Whereas Warrior of Light is, well, the team takes less brave damage, which right now is not a problem. It'll be useful in Chaos.
Yeah.
Or like Selfie, for example, Selfie batteries and heals. So that's really useful, but you may not need that right now. So just plan accordingly.
I would like
don't bloom Saz.
I would like to 77 all of my characters, especially the characters that I'm using now. But you know, Crystal Strength 61 characters are doing just fine in Cosmos. So I would say save your crystals till we get a little bit better income, and that's just how the game goes. It's slow income on the new materials. We're going to see this going forward with EX Plus, you know, slow income initially, and then you get more and more and more as you go. Looking back at the game, this is how the game's always been, how it's likely always going to be. So kind of save early, and then eventually you'll get to catch up. Ouroboros is saying there is something to be said for, or is there something to be said for, picking up Shantoto in the EX shop, since her EX is going to get imperil all elements and potentially open up someone's roster. So yes, excuse me, I think so. So anyone
for sure, she is a nice option, especially since her AOE becomes her imperil becomes AOE. She imperils all elements. We don't have to go too deep into it, but I think she's one of the better choices if you have Warrior of Light and you have Cloud and you're not interested in Tidus, and maybe you already got Ishtola because they were on such good double EX summer banners. I think Shantoto's a great option. And also there isn't a lot of hype around her banner mate.
No, right.
Her banner mate's perfectly good. Camlanot, but
yeah,
it's not necessarily as game breaking as some of the other banner mates for it. So I think she's a great choice.
So we're gonna move on. 375640 is saying, is there any characters in this episode that their AAs are particularly useful? Ink is saying Sarah.
I'm gonna say Null, because his AA is a free tool for him to break a target before he uses abilities, and it's a gravity, so that's very useful as well.
And as Inkwelder already said, Locke has useful AA, but again, you gotta how far are those characters going?
Locke doesn't need his Bloomstone as much. It's useful for sure, but I think you can wait on it. I do agree. Like when using Null, I did want a second use of his AA. Like it came up multiple times that I had to plan around it.
Yep.
So I do agree that that's a good Bloom target.
So
and then
go ahead.
oh yeah.
No,
I was gonna just transition through, if that's fine.
Yeah.
But we skipped Aminosa, who agreed with you, saying, as someone who's used all of my Bloomstones, I say save them. And Mark's advice was better than what I was gonna say, and it's basically wait till Chaos to see when you need to use the AAs, because right now you really, really don't at all. Oof. But transitioning on, we derail so much, but to play devil's advocate on Shantoto, as someone who pulled specifically for Shantoto's EX and is a big fan, Mark and Ink are saying she might have some viability going into Chaos because of the Imperils. I'm going to say her kit, like her Imperils are good, but her kit is not good enough for Chaos to bring. It's going to be an albatross around your neck. I think she's going to be a burden if you take her into Chaos, because other than the Imperil, she's not going to bring too much else.
Well, it's for her EX Plus, so it's an investment.
Oh, for EX Plus, we're talking about EX Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
That's far. That's far.
Well, it's a choice. It's worth considering. But yeah, if you have a lot of the like recommended characters that are really strong on the banner, and you don't have a favorite in the shop that you want to get, I think that she's certainly one of the stronger ones as an investment, not to use right away. Well, she's good right now, but you're going to use her for 3 weeks and then sure.
Right. I was going to say, if you look up the Chaos bosses for that first month and a half, almost all of them resist Dark and Wind. That's why Leon was shut out immediately. That's why Null was shut out immediately. Her only two elements she cannot use at all. Like, she's terrible.
Yeah.
But, okay, so moving on. We had a partial awakening wave follow this story chapter with 3 characters besides Locke and Null that were awakened. This can go very, very fast. I was kind of happy that I got these because I was like, less research to do. But these are very boring characters in different ways. So let's start with Aerith. Let's see. What did Aerith get? Aerith got almost nothing. She has her buffs buff a little harder, and that's it. Skill 1 gives an Inbrave buff now. Good for your Brave regen teams and your shield teams, whatever. Second skill gives her more magic attack, gives her more max Brave, more attack, etc. And that's basically it. I will say, and Ink says he has more to add on to this, I tried running her in even the Halloween co-op, and she feels awful. It feels like she got almost nothing. Her max Brave is terrible. I was like, do I need to farm these cursed artifacts? But her cursed artifacts are basically, at best, 45% max Brave aura to the party, which many, many, many other characters are already bringing without having to farm cursed artifacts. And extra uses of each ability. So you can have up to 3 extra uses of skill 1 and skill 2. And that's it. I am very, very not impressed. But I will say, in her defense, she's still the best AoE healer, which is her niche. Well, AoE burst healer. And she can revive people from the dead, which is a thing, I guess. I think I'd still take Rosa if not for the healing. So on Sunday, she's going to get her EX. And her EX is actually pretty decent to round out her kit. But it's up to you guys whether this is enough. What her EX basically does is it's a big fat battery for the team, which is nothing special, a 50% attack aura for the team, which again, I think many other support characters already do. I think Porum and Rosa already come with stronger auras, and Porum has stronger heals possibly, although not as on demand. And she gives the entire team 30% extra overflow. So for people who already have natural 120 or 150 overflow, you're bumping that up to 150 or 180. And people with no overflow, they get 130 overflow. So this is pretty good, except it only lasts 3 turns and you cannot keep it up indefinitely. So there's going to be peaks and valleys when you're using Aerith. Both of her skills are very high turn rate, so her EX takes a while to charge, and it is going to be impossible to get the EX to go every 3 turns to keep the buff up. So you would be planning around burst windows for when the EX buff is up, for the huge attack increase and the overflow. And for some people, that is an interesting mechanic. I don't know. I feel like there's better healers and supporters out there, especially coming up soon. Early into Chaos, you're going to get Eiko EX plus and Ishtola EX plus, and Ishtola does the heal and revive better as well with as the auras. I cannot personally vouch for Aerith, but I know Ink has some stuff to say. Ink?
Yeah, I mean and when I was researching Aerith for the infographic for her, which came out really nice, but basically the reason why there's such a problem with her buff that you have to pay attention. First off, she can do all of Cosmos easily. She's also synergy on Deuce Chaos. She can do that too. So she is certainly a strong unit, and her arts aren't so bad. The problem is literally every button you press is a high turn rate. Brave plus, HP plus, either skill, all of it is high turn rate. And so as a result of that, you end up burning through either your abilities, which is why you need 3x Healing Wind. Ignore the other one. Do not get any Prayer of the Cetra. She doesn't need more of them. Leave them aside. But get 3x Healing Wind because she's going to burn through her abilities because she'll use her HP plus and go right away. And then you have to use Healing Wind to battery the party. And then she's going right after that. And then all of a sudden your buff from your EX is gone. So, I mean, I've watched her do Cosmos without any problem at all. She certainly does well. So she's a favorite. That's great. And this is a really good banner. It is an excellent banner. I will say that.
I'll agree.
Yeah, it's a great
not live yet.
banner, but
correct.
Yeah, it's not live.
Sunday.
I know you all will talk about it next show, but the high turn rate is really the biggest problem because she doesn't shave very much. So someone that can't shave that's burning through turns like that, you really need to have very strong characters with her. So people like Ace and like Terra that have really, really powerful attacks that if you give them overflow, they're dealing a ton of damage. But you have to build accordingly with her. You can't just jam her in any team similar to Sarah or even Selfie or Porum. You can put them in a lot of different teams and they still perform pretty well.
It's just once again focusing on heals because Aerith is more heals than anything else. Many of the other healers are probably more buffs and more battery than heals. Aerith is heals priority 1. And that's just not my playstyle, and not even the playstyle that fits with the meta, because the meta going into Chaos is even stricter turn count. Score is always a thing, and it's just like healing is kind of a crutch. It's kind of like, to date myself, like League of Legends, there's this ability called Revive, where you instantly come back to life, and nobody ever used it, because they're saying, if you bring that, it's like you're planning to die. And that's just bad play. And the same with Aerith. If you're bringing Aerith, you're planning to need a lot of heals and revives, and that's just bad play. I don't know. I hope she gets better, but in her current incarnation, it's just not appealing at all. Mark, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I was going to say, again, for a new player, the stash start banner. This banner gives you a good support in Sarah, a healer in Aerith, magic DPS in Ace. It's a good banner to pull on. Aerith can help you through some of those tough chapter battles where you might need to heal. But yeah, is she the best? No, not at all. Is she, you're going to have Alphinaud who's doing healing. Alphinaud is doing healing. Of course, there's going to be other characters in the world coming up. But again, if you start it when all three of these free pull banners are up and you want to re-roll, a few times to see if you get an EX for free on those, you're not going to, Aerith's going to help you with early content. That's for sure. But.
Yeah, the good thing about Aerith, I'll just say, is that she is in a lot of ways in terms of usage similar to Null. So because she's turn inefficient, she doesn't work in a lot of chaos stages, but you can use her in Fiat, in Far Ends of Dimension. You can use her in Deuce Chaos, but Deuce Chaos is permanent content. So you're not missing very much if you don't do that. If you skip that event, you'd miss 6 tickets. It's not a big deal. But she can do Fiat. So if you do pull her, she certainly is powerful. I don't want people to get the impression that she's actively rough. She's just not going to be able to help you as much in chaos.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I people in chat are saying, I don't know if this needs a correction on air, but Alphinaud does not heal. If that was said on air.
I did say that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we always try to correct the misinformation before the episode goes out. So,
but she doesn't heal on initial release. Is that correct?
Yeah. She's just support and battery. She doesn't do anything.
That's right.
But
she does the battery. She doesn't get. She gets the healing with her. Is it a rework or is it the EX that gives her healing?
EX Plus. I don't even think she got a rework. That's how strong her base kit is.
Yeah. All right, but a solid support, right? So again, but the healing does come in handy for a lot of the early content. There is some stuff that can use some healing, so your healer options.
I mean, if I wanted to heal, I would bring Porum with really good auras.
Stop. But a new player can't get Porum.
Yeah, that's true.
what I'm saying.
That's true.
I'm saying new player.
Yeah, so for a new player, what I would say is first off, it's a triple EX banner, so you're getting Ace, which is extreme. Ace is great, but there's Sarah on there. Sarah's great. All these characters have some utility in chaos. They are not going to carry you. They're not going to go crazy, and it's not like an auto win button. You have to pull around them, so you have to be careful. But Aerith, same thing. If you need a healer, though, and you already have Ace and you already have Sarah, don't go for Aerith. You probably want to go for someone like Charlotta. Also, Realm. Realm also heals. So you have other options. I wouldn't chase Aerith unless she's a favorite.
Right. So for veterans, Aerith is basically dead on arrival. So moving on to Ace. Next character. There you go. I'm already... feeling the alcohol. Ace is the opposite of hold on, I'm getting messaged here. But Ace, I think someone got mad at our Aerith review. I'll check in a second. But Ace is like Aerith in the sense that I feel like he has a boring kit, which I'll expand on, but he is very, very powerful is the difference. What Ace gains so Ace has always been a pretty straightforward magic DPS, big burst nuker. Skill 1's always been huge, brave shave. Skill 2 has always been his overflow, brave dump. Now with the rework, burst becomes his single target. It's still huge, brave shave and an HP dump, and skill 2 now has splash damage. So better suited. So single target, AoE. What he gains is he used to have to build stacks called cards that he would lose when he spent it on his big abilities or he was broken. I think they realized that was not fun. So his abilities on rework, on the 60 rework, gave him his cards instantly, and then he didn't lose it. And then now in the 70 era, I think they're walking back again and saying, no, we want Ace to build stacks again. So now his abilities build stacks of a new unique buff called Suzaku's Trump Card, which, sorry, Ink, can you cover my ass and tell me what that gives? Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, it's just attack and max brave, I believe. Stackable up to 5.
Oh, I think the stacks don't affect the buff. It's just you get the 5, and then they give you the brave plus plus and the HP plus plus. But
yeah, it's 40%, 40% attack and max brave.
Yeah, but it's just a fat, attack max brave buff, to get his stats up to Cosmos level. And so he kind of reverted back to his old self where he has to build stacks slowly. And once all his stacks are built, he just goes crazy with his damage. So I think it's a funny evolution that they kind of walked back on that and then walked back on that. So now Ace is back to being a ramp-up character that once fully ramped up does massive damage, and man, is his potency high. And he's a magic character, and we haven't had a magic DPS character do this much raw damage in a while, I believe. I mean, the last time I can remember is Shantoto, and she didn't last too long either. But Ace is supposed to be doing so much damage that he can transition into the early chaoses just fine, or anything really, because once you get the 5 stacks built up, Brave plus plus and HP plus plus, you get those for about 6 turns before you need to refresh the buff again. And HP plus plus itself is like a 20% splash, more even, I think, that you can just spam. Almost a mini Renoa without the health cost.
Yeah, when you have him ramped up, it's 10 brave hits, all AoE. So if there's multiple enemies, he's capping brave. It's 150% overflow with 50% splash, which is it's a monster.
Yeah. So and in particular note is HP plus plus gets the benefit of the splash, but it's still huge single target damage as well. Like, people have been posting up screenshots and videos of it hitting like 40k on its own. So he just churns out massive amounts of damage. I think he's a very safe investment because he'll dominate the rest of Cosmos's short lifespan, and he's like a transitional character into Chaos the way that Renoa kind of transitioned into Cosmos, or Vayne lasted a lot longer. But I do think he's a safe investment. And then there's the fact that there's this infamous... So we all remember how terrible Deuce and Agrius EX were. That was the Hell Month. The infamous Hell Month for veteran players. Yep. Apparently, their LCs are just as hellish.
They're just
because
as tough.
Yeah, just as hellish, because our content creators have been doing research. We've been contacting JP veterans. Deuce Chaos has one of the most restricting rosters in DFFOO's history. And many people are claiming that if you did not have Ace EX Plus, you did not beat it on launch. Of course, JP did not have that foresight, and the argument against Ace, and the reason he was so hyped, was because he was so crucial for Deuce Chaos, and of course he helped with Agrius Chaos. But what they didn't have is the knowledge that Ultimecia comes out 4 days after and can just clean up that LC chaos. Yep. So if you need to beat Deuce Chaos day one, yes, Ace is MVP. But if you knew to wait for Ultimecia, which JP players did not, then Ace is completely skippable. But that being said, again, Ace is a very viable choice to pull for and ingot up, because of course he's still going to be great for all the FEODs and all the heretics. He's still... So they great say when Ultimecia when Ultimecia comes out, Ace becomes number 2 magic DPS. Yeah. When Emperor comes out, he becomes number 3 magic DPS. But the point is, he's still in the top 3 for that long, and still a great fallback if you don't want to pull either of those characters, or you need more magic options.
Well, let's thank you. Let's look at the community and see what our community is planning to do in terms of these polls. So we do a poll on our Discord. You can join that and vote yourself. it looked like 33% of our community wanted to ticket Alphinaud. Only 15% wanted to go for Yda. 63% wanted to pull for Null, mostly tickets, but quite a few looking for gems. 43% wanted to pull for Locke. 55% for Eris, so you're going to get some hate mail, Mino. 47% for Ace, which I think is kind of low. And 20% for Sarah, mostly because a lot of people have them. So do we still have the ability to buy the 3x tomes, or is that sale done?
I believe that's still going, right? It refreshed for the Start Dash campaign.
Oh, did it refresh so you can still get 3x items? Can someone confirm that for me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one thing I want to say about the polls that I, as someone that uses my resources wisely, just keep them, like all those polls, most of it was people wanting to tick these banners. So just if you're really low on gems, now is a really good time to save those gems and use the tickets from Ramu farming or just from the events. Most people were willing to ticket a lot of these banners, but you're only pitying or using gems if these people are favorites that you're going to really enjoy using.
Thank you. So there was a question from Stray Bead, managing 3x tome purchases. We'll just answer very quickly. We got to wrap things up. Things get a little unwieldy after 2 hours of recording.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Last thing we have to touch on is Ink wanted to cover Sarah's awakening very quickly.
Oh, I thought we did. I thought we hit Sarah. I'm sorry.
No, we didn't. But
no, we didn't.
That's okay.
She gets an AA. What's her AA?
Yeah.
What's it do?
So just her AA, which is really good, which is why it's worth covering.
Yeah.
She doesn't get a rework, but her AA, it's one use. She gives 10% overflow to the entire party for 3 years. She is, if you like her and you use her, she's a good option to bloom. Gives her an extra use of it. It gives 5 turns to the party for 10% overflow. And then if you raise her to C70, she also gives the party 10% attack for 5 turns, which is pretty cool. And her C68 is another aura of 10% attack and max brave, which raises her stats. If you have the 3 debuff attack boost artifacts, she gives the party 100% attack up and 80% max brave up with all this going on. So pretty good.
Yeah, and she did in the videos that you worked so hard on compiling for us. She did see some play in early chaos, so that can add up various things, and of course a great support going forward. So we'll get to these questions later. We've got plenty of time to do that. There was so much to talk about this week. Thank you all. Looking ahead, we have a raid boss coming with the banner with those 3 characters we just talked about. The small spin-off story for Chapter 5. Also, Realm LC coming here before we meet next week. And so we do encourage you to come back and join us next week. Until then, you can get connected with us on our website, which has all episodes for download and stream, www.tccpodcast.com. That also has links to our Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Also, we have in our notes all of the index for the Tonberry infographics and Macnol's Call to Arms. Thank you so much to Jin Lee, who does our backgrounds and our emotes and our badges. Thank you so much to our mod team on our Discord, which includes Ink, Quetz, Macnol, Eroli, Yda EX. Who am I missing in our mod team? But thank you all of those working so hard to keep our community on track. It's grown by leaps and bounds, but it's also been a great place to learn and hang out and do other things. And I'm stalling so I can see who I left out here. I think I got everybody. Eroli, Ink, Yda EX, Macnol, Quetz, and yes, we did give Shara mod rights, but Shara's just a special friend. So we give props to Shara and all of our friends who are content creators, streamers. We all hang out there for great times. And so thank you all who are on Twitch. Thank you for all of our subscribers, our Twitch Prime members, our cheerers, and our Nitro boosters on Discord. You do make this happen every single week. So thank you, Mino. Thank you, Ink, for joining us. I appreciate it. Anything you want to plug that the Tomberry Troop is doing before we sign off?
No, we just have a lot of infographics, so sorry for spamming Reddit, and thank you for, we hope you're enjoying the content.
Yeah, and check
Thanks for
out...
having
Hey,
me.
don't forget, you did
No,
say you wanted to plug something, Ink. A rework of your infographics coming up in the EX
Well,
Plus.
I'm not going to plug it necessarily, but they are getting reworked because there is a lot coming with EX Plus. So yeah, Dreamy and I have been working really closely together. If you have seen his utility list in the past and some of his posts, he's so good at graphic design. And so, yeah, we have some really nice revisions to the infographic template. So we'll be dropping those once EX Pluses get announced, but they should be really, really helpful utilities for players moving forward, I think.
Well,
Put a lot of
look
time
forward
into them.
to that. I keep Inkwelder's Flickr site there pinned in my channel so that I have access to all of the infographics because I find them so very useful. So we thank the whole Tomberry Troop, and Dreamy's working in that. He did link that here, and it's also linked in ours, all of our notes. But working on some new things in EX Plus, so look forward to that. So for myself, Mark, for my co-host, Mino Spellgood, Kriese, a.k.a. Zerank, and our guest tonight, Inkwelder of the Tomberry Troop, we wish you all the best of luck, good luck, and goodbye.